morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning, YouTube viewers. Good morning, Facebook Nation. Good morning to all people, all colors, all races, all languages around the world. Good morning to everyone. Have a beautiful day. Um, Before we start, click like, subscribe, share. A lot of stuff on the playlist talking about different ways of looking at situations in our lives in order for us to allow us to become the best that we can be. Because in order for us to make change, we have to begin within before we can make change without. So this is what this channel is all about. Um, and it's the Independence Day weekend, and that's a fitting topic with everything about this three-part series is the war on human kindness. So today is part two, and part two is going to be ideology. Ideology is something where, a moral or a value is instilled over a vast population. So when we think about, which ties us back, and today is so perfect for it, it's the perfect weekend, that when we think about independence, most people say, as far as me, as being a black American, um, we don't feel good about this holiday because that independence doesn't apply to us. So, when I get on my channel, I'll speak about a lot of different subjects and how it applies to all people. And sometimes I'll direct things directly towards black people and use black Americans as an example because I can relate. I'm black and I've been through what the next black person has been through. Whether, man or woman, we all face the same thing. And it's part of a program, an ideology. So what I want to do is I want to read something to you. And the quote that I'm reading today is over 300 years old, maybe about 320 years old. But you, the viewer, you decide whether this quote is applicable today. But I'm going to also take it one step further. I'm going to go and I'm going to read a quote that's up in our time, which is going to be within the 1900s. And that's going to be my second quote of today. And what these quotes have to do with is to open up all people, all races, all languages, that this same tactic is being applied throughout all different races. So, black people, we might feel that we're oppressed, but, other races, as well as the white race, they're also oppressed. Except there's a pecking order, which we happen to be on the bottom of. So we're going to reverse that. Not only myself, but there's other speakers that are out there whose now voices are being heard. And we have to start within. And by starting within, we have to start within our own race, our own culture, and we have to cast out infidels within our race who are there to sabotage our race and to promote what it is this quote for today is. So this quote, believe it or not, both quotes have no color applied to them. The later of the two had Caucasian and Caucasian implications. So it shows that this same thing can apply to any race, and I'm going to show how these people use this ideology. So the ideology that let's do the quote first, because then it'll tie things in. So today's quote is by Adam Weishaupt. Adam Weishaupt is the founder of the Illuminati. The Illuminati was founded in 1776, which is ironic, what we're celebrating today, 1776, the Declaration of Independence. Well, that was also the day that the Illuminati began. And Adam Weishaupt at that time was only 28 years old. That's impressive, regardless of whose race it is. That's impressive because between 22 and 23, he was already the dean of the most prestigious law school in Germany. So we're dealing with intelligence when we're looking at what's really going on in the world. These people are highly intelligent. I believe he was 15 years old when he finished college. 15, not starting college, finishing college. So now you understand the intelligence. So, and I respect intelligence. So, regardless, it's an intelligent individual. So this is what he said in 1776. He said, "There is no way of influencing men so powerfully as by means of the woman. These should therefore be our chief study. We should insinuate ourselves into their good opinion, give them hints of emancipation from the tyranny of public opinion," meaning raising the women up. All right? So by giving them hints of emancipation from the tyranny of public opinion and of standing up for themselves, it will be an immense relief to their enslaved minds to be freed from any one bond of restraint. It will fire them more and cause them to work for us with zeal, meaning willingly, laying their lives down to do something that is actually being used against them, without knowing that they are doing so, for they will only be indulging in their own desire of personal admiration. So he came up and he formulated that he would raise women falsely, making them think that they were, that they were becoming equal. And by doing so, it would undo the structure because man's minds are too strong. So if we give one group of people what they want, then we can manipulate law, we can manipulate policy, we can manipulate schools, we can manipulate they can manipulate so much. And people are unknowingly doing something for them. It sounds like something of today, but let's get into the 1900s. And again, that was written in 1776, same year as the Declaration of Independence, which we are celebrating this week. So, is he the only one? Yesterday, we did a history where I was saying that history is, it's ancient. All they're doing is stealing history and putting in a new name, an updated name. So let's go to an updated name with a second quote, and you tell me if there's a similarity. So this is 300 years later. Okay, the receptivity of the masses is very limited. Their intelligence is small, but their power of forgetting is enormous. Power of forgetting. There's a molecule that we have in our brain. It's called the PP1, and science proves that we have the ability to forget like that. So, in consequence of these facts, all effective propaganda must be limited to a very few points and must harp on these in slogans until the last member of the public understands what you want him, and I'm going to add this, him or her, to understand by your slogan. Okay, and this was written in 1924 by Adolf Hitler. So we're seeing that the name has changed. The situation is the same. Where Adam Weishaupt said that he wanted to infiltrate the schools, infiltrate the education system, infiltrate all these different things to send forth a narrative and make people unknowingly work for them. And this stuff is working today. And it's working against my race, which is the black people. The sad irony from this is that, they're using our own to dehumanitize us. They're using our own in the guise of money. And another reality is for people who stand by us who might be of another culture or another race, they understand this. But we become dangerous when we start to speak about it. When we say, hey, we can see. It's almost like the bread in the middle of the floor. You turn the lights on, you're seeing everything for what it is. You're seeing all the games, the manipulation, and all the roaches scatter, all the pests take off, once the light is on them. So, this is that war, and it happens in other races too, because if it was a white person who spoke up like this, they'd still get the same backlash, like, why are you educating them? Why are you putting them out in the forefront? So, however, more and more people are waking up, and this is what modern motivation is about, to get you to wake up, to live your best life, to stand up, because, they know the manipulation. They're using it. People who sit next to you and they say that they're sympathizing, but they also know that there's a game that's being played with you. So, once you wake up, then you become that friend, like, whoa, I can't be around. And it goes to all different races, because I have a friend who she's a different race, she's Hispanic, and, she told me straight out one day, she was like, Dennis, I can't be around you. And I said, why? We've been cool all our lives. She said, because, everything that you say is what I do. So basically, she was admitting that, she was doing this stuff to me. But my response was, but the thing is that you wake up, we're up now. Now we can be friends. And which is crazy is because, I try to get in touch and do stuff, and I don't get too much of an answer, back in return. So it's almost like to say, once you wake up, they can't do anything with you. And this is the manipulation that we're all playing on ourselves. So it's not defined for a race. It's defined for all races, because we're all using that same program. Remember, once you get taught something, you'll do it unconsciously. And like Adolf Hitler said, if we play it enough and we play it enough, you start to believe it, and we don't even have to, do anything anymore. You're going to do it to yourself, and then you're going to do it to everything that's around you. So it's a trickle-down effect. So, we have to go back to, 1776, school and the media. We're watching all that stuff play out now. But what is the ideology? So I'm going to use my race. What is that ideology? The ideology is that black men are lazy, black men are criminals, black men are violent, uneducated, black women are loud, they're single, having babies that they can't take care of. So it's a wasted race. They don't want anything better for themselves. These are the narratives that they put out. However, there are people who are doing good things. There are black men that are doing good things, but you don't see them on the news. You don't see them in music. So they take away everything in order to project a picture. So, and also it works out where they say black men are lazy. All right, black men are not lazy. The thing is that all this stuff is one part of one corporative mind. So this is all a program. So if I deny you the job, I can say that you're lazy. But you don't show where, black men are going and they fill out 20 applications, in one day and don't even get one interview. Or, they go places to ask for a job and then they say that there's no job here. And then the next thing they know, someone who, is a friend of a friend of a friend will hear that someone else got hired who was not of black race. So as far as the women go, the ideology is that women, are single mothers and they should stop running around having these babies. However, back in 1957, there was a policy put in place that divided, black men from raising their children. But yet and still we don't put this out there. We don't tell our children that, and we don't tell the public that. So now they have a perception. So this is the war. This is the war on human kindness. And sadly, because I have friends, a good portion of friends who are, Caucasian, and, they understand this. But then they'll say, well, I sympathize with you. But then again, it's like their hands are tied. So it takes a group effort to say no more. It takes people who are outside of a race to say, you know what, no more. You're painting a picture and you're doing this on purpose. But lastly, it falls on black people to turn around to say, hey, we're not supporting you. We don't care if you're black. But see, these things are happening now because we have people like Angela Stanton, I believe her name is, and people like Kwame Brown who are pointing this out, how this manipulation is being played, how this brainwashing and ideology is coming out, but yet and still they're sending black people to come after. And not as only are they sending black people to attack people like me and people like them and others who, are trying to make things right, who are trying to get black people to invest within themselves so that we can turn around and be productive in this society. But now we're getting backlash from a political arena. So we understand that all these organizations that encompass, our black race, that these are there to keep us divided, to keep that narrative and that ideology going. That's why, as a black man, I don't know, I can't name many black men who feel that Black Lives Matter represent black people. We think that that's all bull. But yet still you're going to women to ask us where you should be asking black men. And that's a reversal of nature. So, it's a group effort that has dehumanized us as black men. So, this Independence Weekend, my call is for, black women, to start supporting your black men. Because if we don't, if we don't come back to our own and we don't take care of our own house, our house is going to be destroyed, So, by projecting to a public that they have to be in fear, that they have to lock their doors, this is dehumanizing. By going into school, let's start with the school system, and I take nothing away from the teachers. You're only teaching what, the higher ups are saying that you should teach, and they have what do you call it? They have a curriculum and an agenda, that goes for every school year. But every school year, we know that history is more and more, things are being discovered. You're still teaching the same history, which is slavery into freedom. Slavery into, it's almost like being a slave, being tortured, being raped, and then handed a Bible and say, hey, go out, this will save you. It's the same thing in schools. The shackles are being put on in school where, we know now that, within Africa, some of the most oldest writings, some of the most oldest hieroglyphs, some of the most oldest pyramids, some of the most oldest technology in the face of the world, but yet and still we won't teach it. We won't teach it. And that needs to end, because it goes again to say that this is not a group effort, that even though people stand beside you to say that they sympathize, they really don't sympathize, because they want things to be the way they are. Because I'm going to leave you with this, and have a safe 4th of July. From the words of Tony Montana, take a look at the bad guy. You see me, I don't hide, but you hide. So stand up and take a look at the bad guy. And he walks away. And he walks away proud. Because for once he did not bow down. He did not look down. He looked to say, hey, I know where I come from. But do you know where you come from? And this is what we have to do. Understand who we are. We have to understand what our situation as all people. We have to stand. We have to get out of the mentality that, we have to constantly seek approval. And, as far as social media, look at what they're doing with the children. And this is not a representation of a people. They're only showing you people that have been brought out and paid to act in this way. And you say, well, the violence, they're not paying people for violence. Well, yes, they are, because those people are not bringing drugs into the United States. And they're also not producing the guns that they're killing with. Someone had to have sold them. So when we walk around with blinders on and, we refuse to see what is, as a people, then change will be the same. But if we wake up and try to work together and show that this is really a multi-diverse effort of all people to say, we need to stop, because at the end of the day, no one's making money from this. No one is making money from it. And the stress levels are off of madness. And another fun fact, a major pharmaceutical company is now using ecstasy, which the government said and the law enforcement said that it was a drug and it was no good for people. Now they're taking components from ecstasy to treat PTSD. Sounds like addiction to me, but who am I? So that's just another way of looking at things. You have your way of looking at them, but I'm just throwing this out here. So with that, everyone have a beautiful day, and remember, ideologies can either lift or they can destroy. But the ideologies that we're under right now, they're destroying, and they're not meant to get better. And in order for it to get better, it's up to us. So for all people, all races, all languages around the world, have the most beautiful day. Have a, enjoy this Independence weekend, and take the time to understand what your independence is really all about. Not just for yourself, but for your children, and as far as the world. With that, everyone, peace.